the boxing world has reacted to the Jake Paul versus Mike Perry fight. Here's some of the most exciting reactions. Meanwhile, we know that Conor McGregor made fun of Jake Paul during a BKFC press conference on Thursday. After acquiring partial ownership in the Bare Knuckle Fighting League, McGregor voiced his backing for Mike Perry before his match against Paul, whom he called a little dweeb. Paul initially targeted Perry and the entire bare knuckle fighting community with his criticism, but soon shifted his focus to McGregor. Jake Paul said during the pre-fight press conference, "First of all, he's big-upping the BKFC, but you're going to see what I did to their best fighter on Saturday night. I'm going to embarrass their whole entire league. This guy has no skill. Those are just brawler, idiot, street fighter dudes who have no idea what the sweet science is. Conor McGregor can say what he wants, but he won't fight me either." Ironically, Paul hinted at the possibility of transitioning to bare knuckle fighting for a rematch with Perry following their boxing match. Naturally, Perry dismissed the notion, doubting Paul would dare to face him in a no-gloves contest. Regarding McGregor, Paul has long sought a bout with the Irish superstar. Despite years of calls for the fight, it never came to fruition, primarily because the former two-division champion is still under contract with the UFC. Jake Paul mentioned a potential fight between himself and McGregor in the boxing ring, even if it doesn't seem probable that he will get the response he wants this time around. He said, "Once I knock out Mike Perry, Conor McGregor let's run it, but you won't do it because you know what's going to happen. You saw what I did to Nate Diaz, who you went toe-to-toe with. So Conor McGregor, lay off the cocaine, get in the gym and start winning fights, and then maybe we can have a conversation." Even though McGregor now has a stake in BKFC, Perry didn't fully appreciate the comments either. However, he did stand up for bare-knuckle fighters against Paul's criticisms. During the BKFC press conference, McGregor called Perry one of our big stars here, the king of violence he titles himself. Perry did not waste any time in reminding McGregor that BKFC awarded him the King of Violence title following his victory over former UFC champion Eddie Alvarez. In addition, he claimed that before McGregor ever showed up, he was a co-owner of BKFC. Perry said about Paul, "He's a disrespectful punk. Those men and women fight for their families over there. They put it all on the line and they get in that ring and they put on shows for the fans. Conor said my name was was self-proclaimed, but they gave me the title of King of Violence, and my tequila is going to be better than his whiskey when that comes out. July 20th was a highly anticipated date ever since the unexpected boxing match between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was announced. However, a sudden ulcer flare-up cast doubt on the bout, leading Tyson to ultimately decide to postpone the fight. He wanted to ensure he was in peak health before facing the much younger Paul. As Mike Perry replaced him to fight Paul, Tyson himself has cautioned Paul to stay vigilant. Paul shared the advice Tyson personally gave him. He said, "Tyson was concerned with me taking this fight. He's like, what is Jake thinking? This guy Mike Perry's a killer. So he has some concerns, but Tyson, my message to you is, don't worry, I'm going to put this guy to sleep. This is the Mike appetizer and you're next." Tyson's health update was also given by Paul, who stated that he is doing good and has already resumed training. Despite Paul's evident confidence about facing Tyson, he appears to show a greater concern for the 58-year-old's well-being compared to his other opponents. This display of respect from Paul is quite uncommon. Before the fight, Mike Perry intended to depart Tampa with far more than he brought with him. Perry vowed to bring a few extra surprises back home to Orlando. He said, "I'm taking home the W's, I'm taking home the money, and I'm taking home Jake's head. Let's go." Since leaving the UFC, Perry has achieved remarkable success, emerging as the star of BKFC and securing victories in all his bare-knuckle fights. His impressive record includes knockout wins against former UFC champions Eddie Alvarez and Luke Rockhold, as well as a former UFC title contender, Thiago Alves. Perry said before the fight that his total combat experience would make a significant difference in the bout, even though Paul might have professional boxing experience. He said, "Listen, I've fought every year for the past 10 years, MMA, bare-knuckle boxing, and I'm an undefeated king of violence. I smash guys who have never been smashed before." Platinum mentioned that a surprising win over Paul would pave the way for any future opportunity he desires, and he was determined to seize them. He added, "Jake lost a little baby fight to Tommy Fury, but I'm here to smash him. Jake can box, but I can fight. What do you do to a boxer? You fight him. You pull him into the deep waters and you wring his neck," Perry further explained. "Anything I want is possible. Anything I want to happen can happen. I'm excited for the opportunity to fight this guy. He's got all the people watching, all the cameras, and they should have been watching me for years because I've been pouring my heart into this sport, and I give everything I've got into training so that I can come and perform for the fans on fight night." Meanwhile, veteran analyst Dan Hardy was truly shocked to hear that Jake potentially risked his Tyson fight by taking on Perry. He said before the bout, "It's a recipe for disaster for Jake Paul. I'm really genuinely surprised that he's allowing Mike Perry to punch him, because Mike Perry is going to savor the opportunity." Although he never quite reached the level of a UFC contender, Perry remained consistently entertaining. His true potential emerged, however, after he transitioned to bare-knuckle boxing with BKFC, where he really hit his stride. Perry's fighting style introduces a level of intensity that Paul might not have encountered before, prompting Hardy to advise him to approach this bout with the utmost seriousness or risk waking up under the glaring lights. Hardy said, "Mike Perry's an animal. He's an absolute barbarian, and he is made for striking sports. Anything where he doesn't have to worry about someone trying to hold on to him and take him down and make it a slow night for him, he is perfect." Moreover, Hardy mentioned that Jake Paul is big, powerful, well-conditioned, and his boxing skills are improving significantly. He believed that when Jake fought Nate Diaz, he would be too much for Nate. According to Hardy, Nate didn't land any significant hits and wasn't able to trouble or disorganize Jake Paul in any way. But Hardy added that Mike Perry brings a unique intensity to the ring, often using his forehead and throwing wild shots to create chaos. He suggested that Jake Paul has likely never encountered this level of intensity in a combat sports scenario before, except perhaps in sparring with challenging partners. Hardy emphasized that Perry's approach is relentless, and that Jake Paul might not be fully prepared for the pressure he'll face from the first bell when fighting Mike Perry. Hardy is aware that despite Paul's record of victories over seasoned MMA fighters, none of those matches included Perry. Hardy knows Paul might be in for a pretty unpleasant awakening if he's not really prepared for what's about to happen on Saturday. Hardy said, "Against Nate Diaz, you're going to feel like you're being waterboarded, but you might not feel like you're getting hurt. Against Ben Askren, what are you going to worry about when he's wearing boxing gloves? Against Tyron Woodley, he's dangerous if he throws something. With Mike Perry, you've got all of those problems rolled into one." Coming to Mike Tyson, Hardy recognizes that the legendary fighter's prime days are far behind him. While Paul defeating Tyson now might earn him a substantial payday and a great deal of publicity, it's not the same as overcoming a Tyson who is anywhere close to his peak. Hardy said, "There's always a danger fighting someone like Mike Tyson, but you just don't get a great deal from beating him at this stage, at this age. He didn't get the accolades that he would have for beating Anderson Silva because Silva was 47. And what's Tyson? It would just cast him in a bad light, regardless of how the fight played out." Tony Bellew also gave his prediction for the bout. He said that Jake would put on a memorable show. Bellew added, "Jake Paul to win, and do you know what? I think he'll look good doing so. Fair play to Jake and his team for getting this on, as he easily could have sat this one out and waited for the Tyson fight to come around." Bellew mentioned that Jake Paul wanted to stay active and avoid periods months of inactivity. He noted that Jake was going up against a fighter with experience, but he believed the fight would end early. Bellew stated that Jake has proven he can compete with MMA fighters in boxing and expected Jake to demonstrate this again with a big, brutal knockout. Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.